So the only reason I say that is because it's, by the way, it's interesting, you know, how close we will be with that to the answer. But let's say I'd said something else, like if I'd said how many piano tuners are there in Melbourne, or how many kids, how many people in Melbourne barrack for Collingwood, or something like that, we could actually work out a way to do it that would be amazingly accurate. And that was, in a sense, Enrico Fermi was a physicist, and he was saying it's actually amazing how much you can work out when you don't know the actual data to do that. Okay, those were the first 3 steps, and that type of lesson will be the same. The teacher leads a review of responses, including attending to efficiency of strategy and appropriateness of the degree of accuracy, and students complete additional problems or exercises that consolidate the principles. And the teacher summarises the main ideas addressed in the activity. So in terms of each of those lessons, like the pen one, the money one, or in fact both money ones, and the Fermi problem one and the chocolate box one, they're the same lesson. And so it's a type of lesson, and you can see it engages you in a mathematical type of thinking, a mathematical type of discussion, which allows you to introduce things. Okay. And so this is actually a summary of it. Pose problems, record estimates, discuss and review strategies, conduct investigation, review responses, teacher summary. I should actually have an extra step, practice exercises in there to do that. Okay. Does anyone want to ask a question about that template?
This one make a comment that in respect to learning from conducting
Yeah.
what we discussed just a moment ago is very important. I think that students can define where the investigation may go, should they have a resource. In this particular problem, what could they do? They could look up things like the way of the age, the spread in Australia, they can do research on the population size and so on.
Yeah. And look, and it depends on the problem. That the example that was given here is we could actually conduct a survey. Well, it'd be interesting to, if you like, get to work out roughly what it was and then actually see whether the survey worked. In the Collingwood supporter one, we might be able to make a judgment. Can we have a hand up all the Collingwood supporters, please? So there's whatever it is. So 20% of the people in Melbourne are Collingwood supporters based on that evidence, and we could actually make judgments then about, okay, we'll make estimates of that type of thing. So in a sense, it's just a template. And what I guess I'm saying is, when you work with teachers, and the reason, by the way, the template's important is because I've seen plenty of teachers teach that fractions lesson, the one estimating the fractions, and just get up to the part where the kids made an answer and stop. Because the maths actually comes after that. That you've got to actually do the whole thing. And you've got to leave yourself time to do the whole thing, or you've at least got to come back to it tomorrow. Otherwise, you might as well not done the first part. So that's really important. And by the way, at least part of the reason I did that coins thing is because sometimes the people you're going to be working with, the secondary maths teachers, and Eric was talking before about, well, they've actually got good data in their school. Why would the teachers want to change to do that? And it's sort of a good point. But what you actually want to say to them, well, actually, here's a way of getting kids to do real mathematics. That thing with the coins, that's real mathematics. Even the fractions thing, that's real mathematics. That's what we're trying to get kids to realise, that they can work out ways to do things for themselves. Okay. All right, we're going to go on to the what-if template. But can I just... One of the points about this template is that I believe it demonstrates that you can teach kids in heterogeneous groups to do maths. And not just in grade 1 or something, but you can do it in year 7, you can do it in year 9, you can even do it in year 10 to do that. Now, I'm not saying that's what you should do. I'm saying it's possible if you had commitments to equity and you said we want to give every kid a go, we want to keep opportunities for kids as long as possible, the government, by the way, is quite explicit that they want more or less every kid going to year 12. The government says. Now, there's a lot of people who say, well, you know, there's some kids shouldn't stay at school. You know, they've passed their years by date and so on. You know, and they should, you know, some of the kids who really just want to be a plumber or, you know, and they've got a job opportunity, well, maybe they should leave. But they're saying more or less everyone should stay at school. So that means we've got to educate everyone. We can't say in year 7, oh, you're some sort of thickhead, we're going to put you in a class and you're going to do grade 2 work and we're never going to educate you properly. You know, in a sense, it doesn't seem what education's for. So what I'm trying to illustrate is it's possible to do it. Okay, can I just talk about this? Because I think this is a graph that I constructed from the PISA data. And what I was comparing was the degree of disadvantage. So that the most disadvantaged group, or the most advantaged group, if you like, are non-Indigenous people in literacy. And I guess we're sort of saying by inference that therefore the most disadvantaged group are Indigenous kids in terms of their literacy. But you can see that the non-Indigenous kids in numeracy are also advantaged, but interestingly, so are high socioeconomic status in numeracy advantaged. And what this is actually saying is that the disadvantage experienced by Indigenous kids is almost matched by the disadvantage experienced by low socioeconomic kids. So even though you hear a lot of government policy about we've got to somehow fix up Indigenous education, and we do, but just as much we've got to try and fix up the low socioeconomic thing, and that means we've got to find ways of including all of the kids that come to our school in the processes. And there's a reasonably serious problem, by the way, in terms of the advantage of metropolitan kids over country kids, because you probably think, oh, those country schools, they'd be really easy, you know, with the kids, they just come along and do what they're told and so on. It's not the case. And so, and there's even different, you know, girls are advantaged in literacy and boys are advantaged in numeracy, but that issue is much less, and particularly for the boys in numeracy, than these other issues of equity. So we're to do that. So in PISA, Finland has no tracking of streaming, and all classes are heterogeneous, and has low between school differences, but large within school differences. And I think we've got to say is, well, okay, why should we be having large within school differences? And to some extent, it's because of the way we do that. Okay, last time we talked about that type of question. You know, we used that as an open-ended type of thing, and how could you work out some possible answers to that? You know, open-ended questions like that. Okay.